shadow cabinet and deputy spokespersons announced on the weekend. And, I am struck by the fact that all 28 elected members of parliament and all the appointed opposition senators, 8 of them, have been given jobs. Yes? All of them have been given jobs. Yes? Which is not normal, but entirely understandable. And I'll tell you why. My own thinking on that a little later. But all 28 elected MPs for the opposition have been named. Yeah? And it's interesting, some of the placements. Yeah? Should I take, first of all, for those of you who haven't heard the list yet, here is the full list with Robian again.
According to the PNP, its shadow cabinet has been organized around 4 key pillars of national life: economic development, human development, physical development, and governance. Party leader Mark Golding has the portfolio of defense and constitutional affairs. Golding says the slate of spokespersons and deputies will provide oversight, hold the government accountable, and present alternative policies that reflect its vision for a just, inclusive, and progressive Jamaica.
In announcing this shadow cabinet, we present a team of bright minds, some experienced leaders, and energetic new voices who are ready to serve the people of Jamaica. Together, they bring the creativity and determination required to chart a better course for our country. The shadow cabinet has been organized around 4 key pillars of national life: economic development, human development, physical development, and governance, ensuring a structured approach to addressing Jamaica's most pressing challenges.
Julian Robinson remains the opposition spokesperson on finance and the public service. Deputizing for Robinson are Senator Ramon Ferguson on finance and Senator Lambert Brown on the public service. Peter Bunting, who was the spokesperson on national security last term, now has the portfolio of productivity, efficiency, and competitiveness. He's joined by Senator Cleveland Tomlinson as deputy spokesperson. Fitz Jackson has been assigned the PNP's new point man on national security. Newcomer Andrea Perkis will speak on tourism and linkages, while Nikisha Burchell has responsibility for creative industries, culture, and information. Zulika Jess, who is an attorney by profession, has been appointed spokesperson on justice. She takes over from Donna Scott Motley, who will now speak on foreign affairs. Isat Buchanan will shadow youth and human rights. Dr. Alfred Dawes will shadow health. For road and works, Richard Azan has been assigned spokesman, with Dwayne Vaz being his deputy. The portfolio of gender, the elderly, and persons with disabilities will see Denise Daly as spokesperson and Heather Miller-Bennett as her deputy. Golding says the shadow cabinet will be value for money.
I also wish to emphasize that the shadow cabinet comes at no additional cost to taxpayers. This is not about salaries or perks. Our spokespersons serve without pay in these shadow cabinet roles. At the same time, the shadow cabinet provides an important platform for our MPs to engage meaningfully on national issues and to demonstrate their potential and readiness to assume portfolio responsibilities in a future government.
Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
All right, thank you, Roby. Let's go to the break and then come back. The PNP shadow cabinet and deputy spokespersons. I'm not sure if the deputy spokespersons will, as a matter of course, be required to attend shadow cabinet meetings. I don't know. But let us treat all of this as the shadow cabinet. And I want to begin and preface my comments with the following. Under Westminster parliamentary system, you see, prime ministers and opposition leaders are given the latitude to use their power and authority to not only form a government, a political executive, but in doing so, they are given the latitude to make appointments, make changes to suit their political imperatives. What do I mean by that? As in the case of Mr. Holness and Mr. Golding, what are their political imperatives following the September 3 general elections? For the Prime Minister, he has a reduced majority of 35, coming down from 49. He also has, in that 35 members of Parliament now, several ministers who are about to exit the political stage in another 2 to 3 years. In fact, Holness finds himself in a situation where several of his most senior and experienced ministers, in the twilight of their political careers, and they occupy very, very senior and important positions. Just to name a few. Yes? Ed Bartlett at Tourism, Babsy Grange at Gender, Sports, Entertainment and Culture, Horace Chang at National Security. Yeah? Delroy Chuck at Justice and Constitutional Affairs. And I'm sure there are others. I don't have the full list in front of me. Daryl Vaz, a big ministry who has publicly made it known that he is going. This is his last term. Yeah, he's likely to go after another 2-3 years. Yeah. And it means that during the course of the life of this parliament, there will have to be other changes at the political executive level, certainly at the cabinet level and the front benches of government. Therefore, it should not come as a surprise when you see the Prime Minister naming a slate of what? 12 or 13 ministers of state. Yes, 13 of them. Some in the House, some in the Senate. Because he has to look down the road and plan ahead what is coming. He has to prepare people. In addition, several of those ministers of state are now second-term members of Parliament. Yeah? In crucial constituencies that he will have a political challenge of holding on to for when 2030 comes around. So some people look on and charge it's too big, it's bloated, why you need so many ministers of state. That is the system we operate. Westminster and the Prime Minister has such powers. And politics, you know, one of the things we don't appreciate, you know, you cannot be in power without winning an election, you know. If you don't win an election, you can't form government. And Westminster is such that prime ministers, the leaders, yeah, have that latitude, that power to fashion their front bench, to fashion their front bench to deal with those political imperatives facing them. So when they sit down to form a cabinet or a shadow cabinet, they have to take those things into consideration. I spoke to the issues facing the Prime Minister. Now, to the opposition leader, some people will say, but all 28 are in the shadow cabinet? Mr. Golding has a political challenge. He knows people are whispering about his future as leader. He knows that. Those whispers have largely been muted so far. But he has knowledge and is aware that he has to so form a shadow cabinet and position people that you cut off or choke. Yeah? If not cut off, certainly reduce the potential for problems from within. Therefore, he finds a job for everybody. That is raw politics. He finds a job for everybody. And that makes political sense. You on the outside and those of us in civil society, yeah, we don't have no such political considerations. Yeah? So you say, you don't need 28 of them. In fact, 36 of them. Having said that, going down the list, there are some things that are noteworthy. One of the big winners after September 3 is a young man, not generally known to Jamaicans, but they're going to now know of him. He is Senator Ramon Ferguson, and he is coming to politics from finance. He's a senior executive at Barita Investments Limited. Senator Ramon Small Ferguson. And his appointment as senator took some by surprise. And now he is the deputy spokesman on finance, the deputy to Julian Robinson, which positions him very well. So you're going to learn that name. What is not well known is that Senator Ramon Ferguson has political genes in his DNA. He's the son of the PNP veteran, six-star general MP from St. Thomas East. His father, Fenton Ferguson, Dr. Fenton Ferguson's son. Yes? So he's coming as a political virgin, but certainly not as someone without politics in his upbringing. The other thing that struck me is Peter Bunting. Peter Bunting is now the spokesman on productivity, efficiency, and competitiveness. Productivity, efficiency, and competitiveness. He shadowed national security before, or what was called citizen security, I think was the term. Now that has reverted to Fitzjackson. So, productivity, efficiency, I see what, or I think I see what Mark Golding is attempting to do here. Productivity is a huge issue in Jamaica. Yeah? It has never been elevated to a ministry. And he's saying productivity fits into efficiency and that ties into competitiveness. Yeah? That was somehow scattered between labor and social security, education, skills training, and even part of investment and industry. Now he's putting them all together. So let us see what Bunting makes of that. Yeah? It's an interesting area. Let us see what Bunting makes of it. The other thing that struck me about this, there are some newcomers. I mentioned Senator Ramon Small Ferguson. But who knew of Andrea Perkis before September 3? She's a member of Parliament for East, or is it West? East Hanover. Yeah? She's a newcomer to the politics. Andrea Perkis. She's now the Shadow Minister of Tourism and Linkages. Yeah? Want to watch to find out of what metal she's made of? She will now shadow the veteran Edmund Bartlett. Yeah? Christopher Brown, the MP for South East St. Mary. He has been given quite a job. Science, technology, and digital transformation. So he will shadow Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, as well as Andrew Wheatley. And one of the criticisms made of this shadow cabinet is that they don't line up one-to-one with government ministers. I don't see that as a problem. Yeah. Again, the opposition leader must have the latitude to indicate where he's going in terms of the shape of a government that he hopes to lead. So, Christopher Brown, Science, Technology and Digital Transformation. Again, who will make the best of these opportunities, these appointments? That is what we will have to watch in the coming months and years. However, do I have to take the break now? Okay, let's go to the break. Perspective. I made a point about Andrea Perkis, the newcomer to politics, now Shadow Minister of Tourism and Linkages. I should also note that before September 3, the Shadow Minister who was shadowing Ed Bartlett in tourism was Janice Allen, the girl from Mobay, as she styled herself in the election campaign, the girl from Bay. Well, she lost in her effort to win a seat in the House against Heroy Clark. And Mr. Golding did not reappoint her to the Senate. Yes? Also noted, who didn't make it back from the opposition slate previously in the Senate, that young Senator Gabriel Morris, she didn't make it back to the Senate. Yeah? That is to be noted as well. Also to be noted, the chairman of the PNP, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, is now the shadow minister of what is termed here social protection and social transformation. What is that? What is that? Social protection and social transformation. Is that now social security? Yeah? Is that now social security? And if it is, Dr. Brown-Burke was a spokesman on foreign affairs and foreign trade. That position, that portfolio has now been handed to Donna Scott Motley, who has been reappointed to the Senate. And she now has foreign, regional, and diaspora affairs. Now that is a big job. With the greatest of respect to Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, she has been demoted. Yes, to Social Security. That's a demotion. Yes. Damien Crawford, now MP, Northwest St. Catherine. He still has education and what is called early childhood development, which is really one, education. Early childhood development is still largely about education. But he has lost skills. He was also education and skills development or training, I think it was. Now he has lost that. Yeah? That, where is skills now? I'm looking down this list. Bunting has productivity, efficiency, and competitiveness. I don't see anybody with skills. So he has shaved something off the responsibility of Crawford. Yeah? Lothian Cousins, I noticed that he's an MP out of Southwest Clarendon. He now shadows Bobby Montague, who the Prime Minister returned to the cabinet and asked him to deal with land settlements and titling. Mr. Golding has assigned that to Cousins. Yeah? Dennis Gordon, the MP for East Central St. Andrew, former KSAC councillor, he has been handed urban renewal and redevelopment. Yes, urban renewal is a major issue in Jamaica. We haven't really taken it on seriously. Let us see what Mr. Gordon makes of that. And then newcomer, MP for Central St. Mary, Omar Newell, has been given a significant job, environment and climate resilience. So he will shadow, to some extent, Matthew Samuda. Yeah? And as I said, Fitzjackson returns to national security. Natalie Nita Garvey, she has continuing responsibility for local government and participatory democracy. I would love to hear from Mrs. Garvey or Mr. Golding what is expected there in terms of participatory democracy. The other winner, quote-unquote winner, with the shadow cabinet appointments has to be the MP for Northeast St. Elizabeth, Zulika Jess, who has been an attorney at law. She's now responsible for justice. Yeah? Justice. But I notice justice is a big issue, where the constitutional reform being talked about, and I deliberately said talk about. But I notice Mr. Golding has held on to constitutional affairs, while Miss Jess has been handed justice. Yeah? The others I haven't mentioned because they are very little moment. For example, Dayton Campbell at Agriculture, Fisheries and Food Security. I did mention Julian Robinson stays at Finance. Anthony Hilton, Trade, Industry and Global Logistics. Anthony Hilton has one of the new senators, Keisha Anderson. Yes, we met Keisha Anderson during the national debates. Yes. Anthony Hilton has Trade, Industry and Global Logistics. Nikisha Burchell has Creative Industries, Culture and Information. The creative industries and culture were the responsibility in opposition before September 3 of Deborah Hickling. Well, she didn't make it. She didn't make the cut. So Nikisha Burchell will now shadow creative industries, culture, and information. Yeah. Alfred Dawes, no surprise here, the Shadow Minister of Health and Wellness. Wavell Hines gets Labour and Sports. Denise Daly gets Gender, the Elderly, and Persons with Disabilities. Kenneth Russell, Rural and Community Development. Michael Phillips stays with Transport and Mining. Ian Hales, Water and Special Projects. Richard Azan, Road and Works, and he will have Dwayne Vaz as his deputy. Floyd Morris has Housing and Sustainable Living. Yeah. And Isaac Buchanan, Youth and Human Rights. That's the full slate. Let me hear your feedback on it. That's my take on it. Yes? We're going to take the break and come back with your calls.